Today we are exploring the picturesque city of Salzburg, a cultural marvel that sits on the edge of the Austrian Alps with a stunning river that runs directly through the historical centre. Here you will find grand castles, stunning gardens, a diverse selection of museums, and lots of great food to sample as well. It's not a big city, so you can cover most of it in just a day or two entirely on foot. And given the location, Salzburg also makes a great home base if you wanted to stay a bit longer, with a number of popular destinations nearby, including Hallstatt, the Eagle's Nest, and various Sound of Music tours. I'll link to these in the description if you'd like to check them out. But for the purpose of this video, we'll be sticking to the old town of Salzburg. We're starting our day at Nur Coffee for one of the more creative coffee treats that I've had for some time. It is very gimmicky, of course, and you would have to drink it fast before it melts through your ice cream cone. So, what really is the point of this? Mugs are more practical. But it's tasty and gave us a much needed spring in our step as we headed towards Universitätsplatz, which in English is just University Square. This is a lively and bustling area that's flanked with a range of food stalls, including a host of various pretzel vendors, and is a great place to sample some of the local specialties. The boundary of the square is made up of 16th century Baroque architecture, with laneways that go through the buildings in every direction. You can take a shortcut to the shopping street of Getreidegasse, or you can continue in the direction of Hohensalzburg Fortress, which is that huge castle up on the hill we showed you earlier. On the way, you will pass by the bell tower of City Hall, and then the Salzburg Cathedral on the edge of Residenzplatz. The facade is impressive if you just wanted to stick to the outside, but if you do go inside, you'll also see an organ where Mozart once played. You'll hear this name a lot around town. We are now in the shadows of the Hohensalzburg Fortress, which towers above the old town and is the signature of the Salzburg skyline. This castle is 1,000 years old and looks in magnificent shape considering. You can hike your way to the top or jump on the railway. The hike is short, but it's steep. You may want to save your legs and just pay the extra $10 for the train to the top. After sampling the local sausages and soup,
it's not that funny.
We looped back around to the big town square of Residenzplatz. This is another bustling area with various food outlets on the fringe, complete with highly skilled concert pianists, I had to be very careful saying that word, in the middle of the square, which I thought was a nice touch. Sticking with the classical music theme, it's only a small detour from here to the Mozart statue, which is not really that much to look at, so you can skip this one if you're short on time. We then followed the narrow shopping street of Getreidegasse back in the direction of our starting point. While shopping is just not my thing, some highlights in the area includes Mozart's birthplace and museum, and a cluster of restaurants and bars. We stopped at Meisel and Schaden to sample a local egg soufflé dish called Knockerl that both looks and tastes incredible. I'd not heard of this dish before coming to Salzburg, but as soon as I laid eyes on this fluffy pillow of sweet goodness, I had to give it a try. Pairing it with a dessert wine and another coffee, and it was a unique treat to keep us going for the rest of the afternoon. Highly recommended. And I promise that's the last of the food talk in this video. It was now time to head to the waterfront of the Salzach River that runs through the middle of the old town. Here you will find the Lovelock Bridge, which I have mixed feelings about. Now the cynical part of me wonders how many of these padlocks are from relationships that still exist. And the reason I ask is because this is the third or fourth major location with a shit ton of these things attached to the side. There's thousands of them, like literally thousands of them on both sides. They can't all mean forever. I think it's an eyesore that sits in the middle of what otherwise would be a very nice river view. But the area is a hype of activity, and clearly there are thousands of people who might disagree with me. But when you're standing on the bridge, none of this affects the view that you get in either direction. And when you catch the sunset lighting up the castle above the shaded waterfront, I thought this was one of the highlights of our time in Salzburg. But we're not done yet. Just on the other side of the bridge is Mirabell Gardens. Here you will find flower beds arranged in patterns, elaborate fountains and statues, and finishing off with one of the most photogenic spots in Salzburg. There's an elevated platform at one end of the garden that looks back across the whole gardens, with the castle way off in the distance sitting high on the hill. And I think that is just about the perfect spot to wrap up this video about this beautiful little city in the Austrian Alps.